Now, get ready to talk hockey. Streaming from the Oilers Live studio. Subscribe or follow today.
Hey, it's Michael, and it's Oilers Live Tuesday. I've got my trusty sidekick Dash in the park, and special guests from the Heavy Hockey Network, our senior editor, Mr. Eric Friesen, the Oracle, our senior writer, Mr. Ryan Lotsberg.
You guys know how to make a guy feel special.
It's the eve before the start of the Oilers 2023-2024 season, and we're going to do our NHL season preview tonight. Heavy Hockey at Night is aired live weekly on EdmontonSportsTalk.com Tuesday and Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. If you want to interact, if you're tuning in on EdmontonSportsTalk.com and you want to interact, there's a live chat that occurs on our YouTube channel. You can find us at youtube.ca/heavyhockey. Give us a subscribe while you're there. All of this, of course, is brought to you by Heavy Hockey Network, which can be found at heavyhockey.com. So, guys, let's make it count tonight. It's our 2-hour special episode, and here's how it's going to happen. First segment, first half hour, we're going to discuss the Eastern Conference. Second half hour, the Western Conference. Third segment, we're going to do teams and playoffs and around the league, and then we're going to finish off tonight with all Oilers and our predictions there. But first, we're going to start. Dash is on the clock for 3 minutes. He's going to go break down last year's predictions, then we're going to get right into it. And here we go. Dash, you're up.
Well, first and foremost, it's pretty important to note that I've now put up the most predicted things in the last 2 straight years. So I'm looking forward to my three-peat this season and tonight. To sum up last year, we had Eric not on that episode, but between Ryan and I and Michael, we were. Mr. Hebert had 4 things right. Ryan had 4 things right. And for a guy they call the Oracle, I had twice as many things right as him with 8. The easy ones we all had right were McDavid winning the Hart and the Art Ross. I won my stretch prediction with saying Jack Hughes would increase his points by at least 30. Ryan won his stretch prediction and saying the Oilers would score the most goals in the NHL. Hebert was the only one that called McDavid over 150. Ryan and I both had the Oilers to hit 2 players to hit 50 goals. I also was correct in predicting that there would be 4 Oilers that scored 20 goals. And I hit my stretch Oilers prediction on Skinner starting more than Campbell. So turned out pretty well, and I look forward to winning again this year.
Them's fighting words.
All right. There you have it. Dash has now won 2 consecutive years. How many did you get right the year prior?
I had 7, and you guys had 5, I believe, when I went back and looked.
All right. So, Ryan, you and I are trending down, and Dash is trending up. So let's change that. And we got Eric on here tonight. He's why the long face, Eric?
Is it?
All right. No, you got the
I'm fighting a little bit of a cold here, so if I look under the weather, that's why.
You got the orientation going the other way. So
okay,
having some fun with you. All right. So for those of you listening in on EdmontonSportsTalk.com, of course, we've got video and live on YouTube.ca/heavyhockey. All right, for our first segment of the night. He swithed orientation.
Way to go. You made him hang up on himself.
Now he's completely gone. All right, well, we'll get him back in. That's Mr. Eric Friesen. He's a writer for a reason, not lead video producer.
Not a phone orientator.
You're back. Welcome back.
There we go.
All right.
Fixed my long face.
Yeah, you're already down 1 prediction, by the way.
Uh-oh.
All right, guys, we're gonna start tonight. What we're gonna do, we're just gonna I'm gonna start with somebody new, but I'm always gonna go in the order of Dash, Eric, and then Ryan tonight, and then myself in that order. And so, we'll start with Dash, the first question, then Eric, the second question, Ryan, the third, and start with myself on the fourth all throughout the night. Make it easy. Everybody will get a chance to go last. Doesn't mean it's going to be your question that you want to go last on, but that's how it works. And Dash, are you going to be our minute taker tonight?
Of course.
Yeah, Dash always counts how many predictions we got, and I've never fact checked him. I mean, he could have lost 2 years in a row.
I did have Lotzi, I think, have a look at it on a drive to go watch some wrestling one day.
Oh, did he?
I could be wrong, but
all right.
To be fair, I didn't take the closest of looks while we were driving.
There we go. So it's under review.
There's a reason I was going 170 kilometers an hour, just to keep his eyes on the highway.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we're going to start with the Eastern Conference tonight. And of course, we've had a couple games already happen. How we're going to do this? We're going to start with the Atlantic Division. We're going to take who you think is going to be first, second, and third in the division, and then we'll move into the Metro. We'll do the wild card teams, and then each of us will talk about who we think the dark horse or a potential team that'll surprise everybody in the Eastern. That should take us through to the first half hour. And then as we're going, if you want to chime in on the chat, I'll gladly say some of your predictions out there in YouTube land or wherever you're watching from, Facebook, YouTube, otherwise, or Twitch. So we're going to start with the Atlantic Conference. First, I'll go through how it turned out last year for the Atlantic. Last year, in order: Boston Bruins, of course, President's Cup champions, President's Trophy champions, then the Toronto Maple Leafs, and then the Tampa Bay Lightning, 1, 2, and 3. Start with you, Dash. How do you feel the Atlantic's going to happen this year?
With the Atlantic, I've got in the first spot Florida Panthers. I think, they're coming off 2 seasons ago being the President's Trophy champions, as well as going to the Cup finals last year. A lot of momentum, built strong up the middle, right from goaltending, defense, and center. Number 2 spot, I've got Toronto. I think they just keep on regular seasoning, like the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, and why not? I think that'll be close in the 1-2 spot. And then Tampa continues their fall from grace, if you will, but still make it into the playoffs at the number 3 spot.
Yeah.
Do you want me to stop there? Or do you want me to go wild
card?
Yeah,
we'll stop there, and then we'll do the wild card after. Eric, your thoughts? 1, 2, and 3 in the Atlantic Division.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of similar to what Dash said. I expect the Toronto Maple Leafs to once again be a very strong regular season team. It doesn't always translate to playoffs, but they're my pick to win their division. I think, bringing in guys like Domi and Bertuzzi will help that forward group. And then you look at the other two teams based in Florida. Tampa's going to be without Vasilevsky for 8 to 10 weeks. So that could be a blessing in disguise when he comes back well rested. I think that they should still finish second. And then Florida is going to have multiple injuries. I believe they're going to be without Montour and I want to say, is it Ekblad as well for the first almost half of the season? So those 2 injuries will definitely have a big factor on them. Will they be just clinging to a wild card spot by January? But if those guys return for the second half of the season, it should be enough to vault them into a top 3 spot. So I'll have Toronto 1, Tampa 2, and Florida 3.
All right. So no Boston anywhere. No President's Trophy winners getting in there. Lotsburg.
No Bergeron, no bueno.
I'm going to add to the list of injuries in Florida. How long does it take to recover from a broken sternum fully? Kachuk sustained that in the Cup finals. So he may not, he's probably playing, but he's not 100%. Anyway, I got the Toronto Maple Leafs, as much as it pains me to say, winning the Atlantic Division. I think they're the class of the Atlantic Division this year. I've got the Tampa Bay Lightning, if my sheet, if my memory serves me correctly. Oh, no, I'm lying to you. I got Boston in second place. They will regress from their 135-point total last year, but not enough to fall out of a playoff spot. And in third spot, I've got Tampa Bay. Like Eric pointed out, Vasilevsky out for the first couple months. They lost Ross Colton, good third-line center for them. They continue to bleed depth. And there's a little bit of consternation on the back end. Is Hedman falling down a little bit? Is Sergachev on the rise? There's a little bit of a mystery there. So those are signs of a decline, but still good enough for a top 3 spot in the Atlantic.
Yep. All right. I think those are good. Mine are a little bit closer in line to Lotzi there. I've got Toronto winning the division. I mean, they've done, I think, enough to finally come out on top in the division. In Boston, obviously, without Bergeron's going to change, but I don't think they're going to drop out of the sky. They're still a good team, and I think they're going to finish second. And then I've got. Did you have Tampa in third? That's who I've got in third.
Yeah, that's who I had third
as well. Yeah. So I identical to you, I guess. Toronto, Boston, then Tampa in third, and for the same reasons. I'm kind of like Florida. I think were great, but they played a longer season last year, obviously, because they got to the final. But I think they're a little bit banged up, and we'll see where they go. All right, now for
Florida's defense being banged up, but Toronto, only outside of Riley, doesn't have a defense. So good luck with you.
I mean, Brody is solid. They added John Klingberg, which should bring a little more offensive punch on the back end. It's not great, but they can outscore a lot of problems.
Yeah.
I don't think Klingberg is going to be the answer for them, though.
Not the answer, but anytime you can add a mobile right-handed offensive D like Klingberg, I think is a benefit. It's an advantage for sure.
They've also got it's a veteran D core though, still, right? It's not going to be the worst D in the league. So they're not going to be the best, but I don't think they're going to be night after night leaking goals or anything like that.
No, and they finally rounded out that top 6, like Eric pointed out. You got Tyler Bertuzzi and Max Domi rounding it out with the top 4 big guns there. So I think that top 6 is going to cause a lot of problems for teams.
Agreed.
Yep, can't disagree.
All right, now for the Atlantic, that's who we've got. So for the most part, everybody's got Toronto in 1 or 2. Let's move to the Metropolitan. And we will start this time with Mr. Eric Friesen.
Yeah, I've got the Carolina Hurricanes in the top spot. I think on paper, they might be the deepest team in the league, despite not having a true game breaker. And, just to tease something for later on in the show, they might be having a playoff series against a team that we all cheer for. So, the New Jersey Devils, I have them in second, and I'll go with the New York Rangers in third.
All right. So Hurricanes, Devils, and
Rangers.
All right, perfect. Mr. Lotsberg.
Yeah, I'm making for boring TV and radio today, but exactly the same as last season and exactly the same as Eric just pointed out. I've got Carolina in first place. They're just loaded with depth throughout the entire roster. They got solid goaltending. That's the best team on paper for sure. Yeah, the New Jersey Devils in second place, an absolutely loaded top 6. Dougie Hamilton on defense, one of the better offensive right Ds in the league. And then you've got the New York Rangers, who are a pretty stacked lineup themselves. I think there's a pretty clear top 3 in the Metro, and then pretty noticeable gap between the 4th, 5th, and the rest of the teams. So yeah, that's what I got.
All right. So I did forget to say that's the order they finished in last year. You both agree on that, so not much you see changing. I'll be a little bit different. I'll go with the Devils finishing top in the Metro this year. And last year I bet against Tues. I'm surprised Dash didn't bring that up. I didn't think, but he's, you know what, he's I just think he's going to take that extra step again this year. You know, he's not quite a top 10 player yet in the league, but he will be if it's not this year or next, it'll be within the next 5 years. And he proved me wrong. So I think that's great. So I'll take the Devils, Hurricanes, and then the Rangers. And I think if you're taking anybody else in that division, you're right, Lotsy. Like it's just not as competitive as you get down the pipe. And I don't think Pittsburgh, with its best power play in the league, is going to be enough to take them up and move them into the top 3. All right, Mr. Dash. Shots fired already, right? We're what, 10 minutes in?
Your mouth just auto-corrected east to league for the Pittsburgh best power play there. Yeah, hey, let's be honest here. Shots fired, sure. Okay, let's go to that first. Your exact comment, since you brought it up, and I was going to be humble about it, but won't now, was after I predicted Jack Hughes would get at least 30 points more. Your direct quote to that was, "That's crazy. He's too small. He's overrated." So, but I'll sandwich that with some positivity because you were also the only person in the entire predictions that had St. Louis dropping out of the playoffs last year. So there you go. Little good and a little bad. Pretty tough to argue that there's a clear top 3 here. I thought I was going to be different if Michael went to me third, but now I've got to copy Hebert. It's same for me. I got New Jersey on top. I just think that their skill, not only that loaded top 6, but there shouldn't be anybody on that team that isn't getting better. They're just like their core is young. They're fast. They're playing the right way. They're building up the middle. Just fantastic team. Carolina, I think, again, just like I said with Florida and Toronto and the Atlantic, I think it'll be close between 1 and 2, but I got Carolina right there as well, and the Rangers in third spot, similar to all 4 of you guys.
Now, does anybody think, and we're going to get into wild cards next, but just in terms of the top 3, is there anybody that can possibly break into there? Anybody that think Pittsburgh did enough to break into the top 3?
Did they invent a time machine?
Yeah. And I'm just curious. I don't think they did, and they looked, tonight against Chicago, they were the slower team. They looked like the smarter team, 100%.
I mean, adding Erik Karlsson, this team is primed to win the 2015 Stanley Cup.
Boom.
That's right.
Drop the mic. There it is, right there. I think the Islanders maybe have a chance to knock the Rangers out in a stretch, but I think everything has to go right for that to happen.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move on to wild card teams in the Eastern Conference, and so last year, wild card teams were the Islanders at 93 points, and then the Florida Panthers at 92. And then we have to add that it was a pretty close wild card race in the East, where both Pittsburgh and Buffalo finished a point behind wild card spot with 91 points. So it was a tight race last year, 2 points separating first from fourth in the wild card space. Lotsy, you're up. Your wild card teams for the East.
Michael, that was a fantastic segue. Like, I'm really glad you mentioned Pittsburgh and Buffalo, because those are my 2 Eastern wildcard teams. I'll start with the Penguins. They lost out on that last playoff spot in Game 82 last year, which was a surprise loss to the Chicago Blackhawks. I guess shouldn't be that much of a surprise after that game in tonight. But anyway, they were right there, and they've added Erik Karlsson. They've got a healthy Jake Gensel this year. So I think they've done enough to sneak into a wild card spot. And then the Buffalo Sabres are just in a fantastic position where they're competitive right now, but they're young and improving. Like, Tage Thompson is an absolute animal out there. Rasmus Dahlin is one of the best defensemen in the league right now. They got Owen Power going into his second year, a former first overall pick. They got tons of youth that are signed to fantastic value contracts. So I think they're going to do just enough to sneak into a wild card spot this year.
All right. Now, I guess that means I'm up next. All right. And watching tonight, I even maybe just says what I was thinking before, which is I think Pittsburgh's going to be in the same boat that they were last year. They're going to be close, but they're just not going to be good enough. They're just, and while Eric's having some fun saying they're primed to win the 2015 Stanley Cup, they're a smart team. They'll be close. I just don't think they're going to be good enough. And Carlson, that was, there are a lot of factors that went into him scoring as many points as he did last year. And I just don't think that he's going to be able to repeat that. I thought Letang looked good tonight, but again, like watching this Chicago Blackhawks team, they just looked like 10 times faster than the Penguins. And I don't expect that to change for the Penguins throughout the whole season. So I don't see them doing that. Now the Sabres, on the other hand, locked up Dahlin, obviously, for 8 years. I think it's time. Like they have got to they've got to make a move, and this has got to be their year. So this one's hard though, because it's going to be another tight race, and for me, it's going to be tight between Buffalo, Florida, and the Islanders. And I'm just gonna I'll probably be wrong on one of them, but I'll take the Panthers and the Sabres, and it'll be another 1 point margin sort of thing. Who knows, right? It'll go down to the last game. Dash.
I just don't see Florida falling that far out of contention, you guys, that you think that they're borderline dangling on a thread for a wild card. I don't understand that out of you guys at all. They've dominated the NHL for 2 years outside of a couple stretch injuries or not. That said, I've also got Buffalo there. When I mentioned the Islanders having a chance to knock off the Rangers in that third spot, I honestly think the Sabres might have a chance to do that as well. Again, same comment. I think everything has to go right. But the Buffalo Sabres have more things aligned to go right for them this year than maybe the Islanders or Pittsburgh or anybody else does. Lotzie probably lined that all up the best there with all the youth and everything that's, everything in Buffalo should be getting better. I don't see a lot of regression from a lot of those guys, and I got a lot of young talent to put a deep team in. I also see Pittsburgh falling out. So I got the Sabres and the Islanders for my wild card picks.
Yeah. All right. And you had, so that means you had who missing? Because you took Florida, Toronto, and Tampa, right? So you got Boston missing the playoffs?
I got Boston missing the playoffs.
All right. Interesting. Could be.
So you're shocked that Florida's going to fall out after a President's Trophy win 2 years ago and a Cup Finals appearance after limping in on the last day last year. But the Boston Bruins, after 135-point President's Trophy winning season, are going to miss.
Mm-hmm. Boston Bruins lost their top two center. They lost probably the most valuable Bruin ever. The guy that is their heart and soul player that drags them into the playoffs, drags them through the playoffs, and gets them everywhere, and Patrice Bergeron. And I honestly think Ullmark and Swayman were more of a product of that team and that system and those victories than they really were one of the best goaltending tandems in the NHL. If anybody thinks that Swayman and Ullmark are taking them to a cup or anywhere close, I think that's crazy. So they've got average to good defense, nothing up the middle and center, which is very important, and average goaltending.
I think the defense
to me is a non-playoff team.
I think the defense is a lot better than you're giving them credit for. And Aiden Hill is all I have to say to the goaltending comment.
Yeah, that's fair. I do think the defense is better than.
I said average to good. I didn't say that they were bad defense. That was their best part. I think they have average goaltending and nothing up the middle. Their defense is fine.
And they've also still got David Pastrnak and Brad Marchand.
And we're forgetting the X factor here. Luch.
Of course.
Yeah.
Hence my prediction. He could drag a team down like a boat anchor better than anybody.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious. Pasta and Marchand, I mean, they're pretty good. They're not bad. All right.
How they are without Bergeron or Krejci.
Yeah. No,
Got to win a face-off to get him the puck.
Yeah, that's fair. Friesen.
My wild card teams. Well, I do think that Boston will still be good enough to get in a wild card spot. Basically, we've all talked about losing Bergeron and Krejci are huge holes to fill, but I think their goaltending tandem is still going to be strong enough to get them there. The team has been together for years. I mean, it's not the exact core that won a Stanley Cup back in 2011, but there's enough experience on this group that I think that they will be able to get into a cup. I think there should still be a good contingent from the 2019 team that went to the final, though. And if you just look at this team on paper, I don't think they're going to fall out. It's still a huge drop going from the President's Trophy winners to one of the wild card spots, but I have them getting in as the fourth seed in the Atlantic Division. And my other pick would be the Buffalo Sabres. This team, of where they're at in their development, reminds me a lot of the Chicago Blackhawks in around 2008. They've got those two pillars on the blue line in Dahlin and Power, similar to the Blackhawks had with Keith and Seabrook back in the early stages of their career. And then you look at the young forward group. It's not as good as the one that the Blackhawks put together. They don't have a Jonathan Taves or a Patrick Kane, but they do have a very talented young group that's coming along, led by Tage Thompson, of course. And this should be the year that they finally end their NHL record playoff drought. I guess their last appearance would have been in the 2011 playoffs, I believe. So they'd be ending their 13-year playoff drought getting in. So I have them as the first wild card spot team and Boston as the second wild card spot team.
All right. Awesome. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to make this last one quick, and then we're going to go to break. And when we come back, we'll do the Metropolitan. Just quickly, guys, I'll start with me. Dark horse team. You know, I mean, we've been talking about it, like how close this is all going to be this year. So, but I'm going to take one outside of those sort of top four that are going to be in contention for wild card. And I'll just say Ottawa's got a shot this year, maybe, of doing something a little bit different. And go to Dash.
My dark horse team is the Boston Bruins. No, just kidding. Dark horse team. You know, I think Detroit's added a couple key pieces in the last few years. You know, they've got that same pillars on defense when it comes to Seider and some of the things they're building there, as well as Larkin being a hell of a leader. I think he's got a lot of depth up front too. They've got a team that can roll four lines, so maybe Detroit can surprise.
Okay, Eric?
I'll say the Ottawa Senators too. I don't think that they're ready to get into the playoffs yet, but they are building with a core that will get there eventually. The one thing that's hurting them is that there's just too many top-end teams or solid playoff teams ahead of them in their division right now. At some point, one of these years, they're going to have to leapfrog one or two of them. I don't think it will be in 2024, but the Senators would be a team that I think if anyone could push, it would be them.
All right. And Ryan, finish this off.
Yeah, I was leaning Red Wings for this one too. So put me on paper for the Red Wings, but I'll make a case for the Capitals as well. Healthy Nick Backstrom back, playing a full 82, hopefully, and Tom Wilson back as well. That they were tied with Detroit at 80 points last year, so they could easily have similar results to Detroit again.
All right. We're off to break. This is Oilers Live from the Heavy Hockey Network. Proud to be a friend of Edmonton Sports Talk. When we get back, we're going to do the Western Conference, same format. And we're going to be on a new YouTube as we end this stream and go into the next segment. But we'll be here live on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Be right back. Devin, Bruce, and the